to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
There we are. No botch intro this week, as it is episode 441 of the Trinity Force Podcast. We've got a 5-man crew for you, as Chira, Dom, Santana, and Cereal Box all join me for this awesome episode. We are going to go over listener questions this evening, as we have a lot of them to get to that we didn't get to last week, and we want to make sure that everything that you guys send us is answered in some capacity. And so if you send us one, eventually we will get to it. And I think Dom, actually, as I move in here, because I don't want no quips. All right, no quips. We're not doing that today. We're turning a new leaf.
We're professionals now.
Especially since you fixed the filter. That was literally what I was going to say.
And so Dom actually has a really interesting tidbit of information about this month's episode that no one else cares about, but I think it's fun.
Oh. So the first of the month was on a Monday, and the 31st of this month is on a Wednesday, which means there are 5 weeks for us to put out podcasts as far as the numbering goes, and there will be 10 shows this month, assuming nothing crazy happens.
And that's just from us.
Yeah,
it's not any of the other shows.
It's a lot.
Not even all other podcasts in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it means next month is going to be like way smaller.
You're gonna get 2.
Thank God.
Yet it changes nothing for us, because it's still every Monday and Wednesday. Or if you're listening to a podcast episode, every Wednesday and Friday it comes out for you. So we give you guys a bunch of good information to listen to and talk about with all of your peers. So I think before we do it, or before this goes off the rails, we're just going to go ahead and jump into listener questions for this evening. And I'm going to start right at the top with Nathan, who writes in and says, are y'all going to talk about the Udyr changes? It's been a while since they happened.
Nope.
That's verbatim. That's
Nope.
exactly how it came in, and I couldn't have been happier about it.
Right.
I guess, Sean, we're all staring at you.
Udyr changes. Man, I was super excited with the Udyr changes that came in because I thought Tiger was going to be super fun again. But I think he's basically in the same spot that he was at previously. And I've said it time and again, my big gripe about it is because you don't have that faux tankiness from turtle form like you used to ever since they reduced the amount of shielding that you get. Especially early, but the Tiger damage, like Udyr's problem for forever has been he has to get to you to do things, and that was you had more time to get to people when Turtle Form gave you more early early faux health, and you could buy like 2 damage items right off the bat, and then roll into whatever items afterward. But in my personal experience and the way I've been seeing a lot of people play, doing that puts you so behind on that tankiness factor that you have a lot of issue getting in on people successfully to be able to put out any sort of damage in that regard. So I've been seeing way more builds that involve something like Titanic Hydra right off the bat, and those sort of builds can work, and I think I like that sort of build at the moment more so than I do Trinity Force Rush or other things like that. But the Tiger changes are just they updated Tiger to be kind of in line with where Phoenix was at. Other than that, it doesn't really change anything at all in the issues that Udyr is having up until this point. So there are a couple perspective changes on the PBE as of information that came out today, which are nice. So like we might be seeing
It's all mana.
Yeah, it's all mana. It's all mana, which is going to be nice considering like that adds up over a ton over the course of a game. But like I I don't know. I don't feel his clear is any faster than a bunch of other champions at the moment. I don't feel like he's any healthier rolling out of the jungle than a bunch of other champions that does what he does, but better at the moment. So like his gimmick for a long time was just that he had one of the fastest clears in the game, and he was relatively healthy coming out of the jungle, and he doesn't as much have that quite to the extent that he does anymore. So I still think like he's good in solo queue, but like middle of the pack good, not like top tier jungle good.
Is there any merit to playing him in okay, I guess out of top lane? I wanted to say it in off roll or something, but
No. He's a bad tank, and he can't lane.
Well, something I was thinking about for at least jungle-wise is I feel like there's been a couple of specific metas that he's worked in, but it's been based on like a specific item being incredibly good on him. I'm not talking all the way back like Innervating Locket, but like Madstone for a while, Flare was pretty crazy. You had items that worked, but now there's not like a standout one. Like I know, wasn't Runic Echoes
Runic Echoes was huge on him for like 3 weeks.
That was so
That
awful.
was last season, yeah.
That was the worst.
That was wonderful.
But when there's not like an item that makes him shine, I feel like
there's not something he can abuse.
Yeah, when there's not something he can abuse, they're like I think that so many other junglers do what he wants to do, except better. Maybe not all the things he's going to do, but like the primary things, like people can get in easier, or people can survive longer. Like I feel like he doesn't shine. He does so many things, but there's
other junglers that have the benefit of having they have an easier time getting in, or they have like let's look at Sejuani right now. Like Sejuani's damage is pretty solid right now, has a ranged borderline Amumu ultimate for the most part.
I think she's a bad example because she's very obviously overtuned right now.
Okay, why don't you just do Elise or Elise Sin? Because those are two champions.
Or Warwick.
Warwick. I think Warwick's way better than Udyr is, and I guess
just to compare,
same sort of thing. But I mean, that's a champion that like does really really high damage, is amazing in 1v1s right now.
Well, Warwick has a natural heal in his kit, doesn't have to jump into a stance.
He's also got the lunge, so it's a bad example. I mean, maybe Skarner.
It's not just the lunge, but I mean, Skarner's in a rough spot right now too, because he's still.
He's actually doing well.
Win rates have him really high.
But his win rate's always high.
Yeah, I don't think Skarner's good. I just think the one-tricks that play him are very good at Skarner.
Yeah, and he's a good solo queue champion because he has that like flash surprise, I have you now, ability to do things. But that doesn't take away from the issue in that like you can get a lot of kills on Skarner and games can go great on Skarner. But and Adam played a Skarner game last week, so he'll back me up on this. There are, unless like you get crazy rolling early on Skarner, he does not transition later on in the game very well. And that like if you build him too much damage early, he will never be tanky enough to be able to like survive as a juggernaut like you expect him to do. And if you build him tanky, you can't do anything once you get in other than ult somebody. And
isn't that also Udyr and Volibear though? Well, I mean, we're almost getting to this weird thing where it's like that subset of
running at you champions?
Attack speed and tank stat bruisers. Because even Shyvana, I think, belongs in there. She's not, lighting the world on fire.
So the big difference here with those champions is like I think you can take Skarner and Udyr and dump them in a pile, right? Like those champions are similar. Skarner being the better one because he has his Stinger of Death. If you can start, now we're going to do Shyvana and Volibear. Those kind of go in a tier above when it comes to how much damage he's doing. Because Volibear is doing max percentage of life damage with his W, with his bite. Plus he's doing tons of magic damage. Right. He's doing tons of magic damage and he gains an attack. And so once he's in, he's just doing tons of AoE damage as percentage bite. Shyvana's doing the same thing. Her twin bite's doing, if she lands E on somebody, she's doing percentage of life damage through twin bite. And she's doing AoE magic damage. Like that's the thing that sets them apart from the other two, is that they have that AoE magic damage in some form in their kit. Now, yes, Udyr has that with Phoenix, and yes, you can build Phoenix Udyr, but I guess that's where the choice is. The problem comes: how do you get in as Udyr? It's hard to get in as Udyr, unlike Skarner, Volibear, and Sejuani, and Volibear even being the lower of those three.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other difference there, not so I think building off that, I do agree that those are all better champions, but I think for different reasons. And it's that Shyvana can get in and kill somebody. Udyr can't really do that. Skarner can go in and pull a priority target for a significant amount of time, where a flash bear stun is going to be like, all right, well, I've stunned him for a little bit. Not much is happening there afterwards. Volibear can flip somebody over. Like you can get more displacement or more either hard CC or blow up ability from different champions than Udyr, who still does kind of all of them, but yeah, he doesn't do those super well. And if it's a meta where you're going to have to get to those backline targets like a Twitch, like you need to either blow them up or pull them really close to your team to be worth picking something like those kind of champs in jungle.
He takes so much damage right now in that like fucking sweet spot zone before you get to people, but before you're there, to the point where like you're less effective once you get there just because you took all that damage in the interim. If that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah,
You're running at somebody and they can kite you because Udyr is probably the most kiteable champion in the game.
He's definitely the most kiteable jungler. Like if you just literally go down the list, almost every jungler now has some sort of either like range stun, slow, or gap closer, not counting Volibear, and Trundle's got Pillar, and like Udyr. Out of like all the junglers, I guess Evelyn, but she has a W.
And every champion that you're speaking of that has a gap closer actually has a higher win rate in solo queue than Udyr does. The lower ones would be like Olaf is right there with Udyr, and that makes sense because he doesn't have a good way to get in without Ghost.
But like Zach's struggling for different reasons.
And Zach's struggling. Cho'Gath's just Cho'Gath, right? Like you miss a Q, you fucked yourself.
Mundo has to hit Cleaver. Maokai jungle, I think too many people are playing it and don't understand it.
Probably.
Do I don't know.
Low play percentage right now.
There are other champions.
Yeah, true.
There are other champions that do what he does, but better at the moment, and it sucks because I really love that champion, but like I also love winning, and it's harder to win. That's the thing. Like it's harder to win on him than it is to win on comparable champions. So like I'm not gonna put on the ankle weights to try and do it just because I have a history of liking that champion. If that makes sense too.
Well, that makes sense.
Truthfully, I think his biggest issue is that you can't max all of his abilities. At some point along the way, you feel like you have one ability that is kind of dead weight because relative to the rest of his kit, it's not dealing full damage or giving you full benefit.
Right. He doesn't have a true
I get how that's
either. Like all these other champions have true.
But neither
ultimates.
does Jace. Neither does Nidalee.
Yeah, but Jace has
the difference.
No, I agree.
Jace
gets to make up for it in other ways that Udyr doesn't really get.
Exactly.
But they've made successful champions who don't have that. Yeah. I mean, Karma, for that matter, doesn't really have a conventional ultimate, but it's still, she's still strong. Successful.
The major difference here is that Udyr, while all those champions don't have conventional ultimates because they have some kind of shape-shifting or some empowering ability in their kit. Udyr doesn't get that.
Instead of having conventional ultimates, they have 3 extra abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we actually talked about this on the Udyr Champions Select podcast because he, I guess, was talking about how a lot of Udyr mains are saying they've theorized about how they could fix that because that was a point that we talked about. I think there was a lot of talk of going to 6 ranks would be cool. There was a lot of ideas that are being thrown around out there.
I mean, I'm sure Udyr players like the we'll call it skill expression side of Udyr's kit. Everybody gets to play him a little bit differently based on their own play style, and not many champions really have that built into their kit.
Yeah,
but
I think that's
what's holding him back
of a champion. Yeah, it's just when you don't have some kind of way to make up for the fact that you don't have an ultimate. He has nothing in his kit to make up for it. It's not like you're getting an extra point somewhere. You're not shape-shifting forms like then he becomes Nidalee. So Udyr unfortunately just needs that one item to make him really good. Or I don't want to say good because I think there was a
viable
listener.
Well, I mean it's that, and it's also that he doesn't do as well as other champions do currently the things he's been traditionally better than other champions at doing, which is like being able to aggressively counter jungle and 1v1 almost anybody he runs into if he catches you on your side of the map.
Right. And why play Udyr when you can play Xin Zhao?
Right. Or again, like another good example is Warwick. Like Warwick is in that boat because Warwick does a whole bunch of damage with his Q, which also heals him for like a quarter of his health for using it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and going back to something you said earlier and everything, like you with Skarner, you have to get super far ahead and you have to stay there in order to be relevant. But like Udyr, it's so hard to get that far ahead and maintain usefulness.
It's not just hard. The difference in the usefulness is that if Skarner is really, really far ahead, even if he can't get in to do the damage that he necessarily wants to do, he can survive to get in to grab somebody so somebody else on your team can fuck that person up instead. And Udyr doesn't have that. His is I run in and I smack somebody. Yes, I can stun them. I could stun a couple people or whatever, but like, I mean that stun isn't.
It doesn't do that much.
No, it's not that it's not even that long of a stun. Like it's a nice disruptor, but it's also like, well, there's my disruption. I'll see you again in 6 seconds when I can use it on you again.
I think it's pretty telling that we've talked probably more about all of the other champions that do what Udyr does better than talking about Udyr himself.
Right.
I think that should be pretty telling of why he's not super good right now.
I guess the only thing I could even follow up with is that Riot has said they're more or less in a position where they think like his kit's in an okay spot. They've acknowledged he's probably a candidate for a full-on rework somewhere down the line. But as far as what's going on here, they think they can get him where he needs to be just by looking at numbers and adjusting there. So
that makes sense to me.
Settle in.
But I still think they need that. A really good change would be them reverting the turtle stuff back, and I think that puts him in that solid spot of, hey, I can aggressively build 1 to 2 damage items early and still maintain like a level of tankiness if I can cleverly use turtle stance. But at that same time, Udyr is oppressive when he's too good. Like when he's good, he's just oppressively good, and when he isn't, he's useless.
Yo.
There isn't really that great of a middle ground for him, and they've never really been able to find that.
And that's probably going back to like Mitch's point, where it's just that there's so many other champions that have come out in this game that has so many wide variety, that their kits are so varied that it may be at this point too hard to balance Udyr around to get to that middle point. But I commend Riot for trying, so we'll just continue to watch the PBE and see what they can do. In the meantime, I think we're going to talk about another listener question, because Eric wrote in and he asks, I've been playing support and I've found that Nami is the champ that best fits my playstyle. However, I'm beginning to find that regardless of the amount of wards I place, the bubbles I land, or the healing I spam, I cannot seem to carry my team to victory. Is there a way to carry as a healer like Nami, or should I jump on the meta bandwagon and brand my enemies?
Is Brand still like meta?
No,
Brand's never been meta.
Brand is always good in low elo if you can just hit your skill shots and dumpster a lane. Like you can just win a game by yourself. And I think he's saying instead of playing a healer, play a carry support like Vel'Koz or Brand who can just blow people up. Zyra, yeah.
That's true, but it's also a case where if you can't land your skill shots, or you have one game where, hey, they know how to dodge it, and you fall behind, you're basically going to spend the rest of the game useless. Brand, Vel'Koz, even Zyra, like if you fall behind on those champions, it is near impossible to claw your way back into the game, which is how most of the roles play, so it's not like it's fundamentally bad that exists, but support's a particularly difficult role to pull yourself back into things if you fall behind. Whereas if you're Lulu or Janna or myriad other supports out there and everything, your lane falls behind or something like that, you're not nearly as impacted by it.
Well,
there's actually a question later on that I think that point really does well on too. But I think Nami's interesting because she can not only be that healing bot, but she can be really oppressive in lane, especially if you're I don't know, we don't know elos here, but like lower elo, her and Janna both are very good at sending, like giving trades, like forcing trades that are just you walk up, auto attack, get spell thieves procs, you can heal yourself back and use that bounce on them to deal damage. Works with Janna too. If you shield yourself, even though that seems kind of weird, if you're the one just auto attacking people, you're going to win trades. Don't get hit by a blitzcook, but that's something that you can do to apply a lot of pressure that you wouldn't think somebody like Nami would early on.
And if things aren't going your way as far as that goes, you also can just fall back into sort of a stalling pattern with Nami and Janna. Because they can absorb and remove so much of the damage that the opponent team deals.
So my point with this would be, instead of looking, we're going to look at Nami in this point, but instead of specifically looking at Nami, let's look at how you are playing, Eric, or anybody else out there who may have this issue where you're playing a champion, you'd like it, but and your win rate potentially suggests that you could do something on the champion. But we're going to step back here real quick, and let's pull up OPGG for this guy. Well, we don't have it in front of us, but
Sure.
First, let's look and say, okay, we'll use me, for example. If I pull up my OPGG and I look at Caitlyn, I have a 36% win rate on Caitlyn on almost, I think it's like 17 games. That, to me, says I should not play Caitlyn in ranked anymore. Because I have played almost a quarter, or almost 25 games on Caitlyn, and I can't get above a 50% win rate. So therefore, I should stop and go, I'm doing something wrong on this champion, and I shouldn't play it anymore. So let's take a look, Eric. If you look at Nami and you have a 36% win rate, it's time to find another champion. But if you have if you're hovering 45 to 50% win rate, then we need to step back and go, what are you doing in the game that's incorrect? And that goes with all these other guys' points is, are we using our E aggressively? Are we using our W aggressively? Are we trying to use Q, the bubble, too aggressively? Are we not being reactive? How are we positioning in lane? How are we warding? When are we roaming and using our ultimate properly? Are we zoning with our ultimate properly? There's all these little questions that we can't necessarily answer because we haven't seen you play, but there are things that you can go back and go, well, here's so-and-so that I just watched play Nami. You maybe go watch a pro game. I'm sure there's a bot lane only stream.
Wolf just did.
Go watch Afro. Honestly, just watch
There you
Afro.
go. And just watch his movements. Watch how he trades with different items and abilities and whatnot, and try to mimic some of that play style.
There is.
Okay.
Go ahead. No.
I was gonna say, if another thing you can do is, if you found that Nami is that playstyle you want to be using, I found that trying some other champions that are around that kind of playstyle, your Karmas, your Jannas, your Soraka, your Lulus, that are the keep people alive but still be a little bit oppressive early, mess around with those other champions and see if one of those ends up being your one you can carry with, because that might be the case. It might be that I like Nami, but I haven't tried these ones that also are similar in that they can be defensive or offensive. Trying out more things gives you more information anyways, I think.
For that matter, it gives you better flexibility during champ select. Even just Nami has some matchups where, or I shouldn't say that, because duo lane, it's so hard to really talk about matchups as far as that goes and everything. But there are situations where Nami is going to struggle a little bit more than someone like Karma is going to. And so if you can play, Karma, Janna, Nami, Sona, now you've got really a lot of good flexibility for if your team really needs a specific type of just instant lockdown like Sona could provide, or alternatively you can look at somebody like Morgana, who is a little bit more towards the Brands and Zyras, but she doesn't, if you fall behind, it's not as painful because the snare is always good. Her Black Shield is always good. Every stage of the game, Black Shield is good and it's useful. And even her ult, it definitely is the type of thing that, if nothing else, will break up a fight because they're going to run away from it.
Yeah. A lot of it comes down to just it's not what you're playing. It's, again, Adam went through all of the little minute points, but it's how you're playing. Mm-hmm. It's really, it's kind of that simple. Sometimes hi Kitty. It doesn't really matter. I could be playing Leona here. I could play Nami here. Why am I here and getting caught out at this point? Or I probably shouldn't have put my pink ward there. I could have put my pink ward over here. Or I should be warding it this time instead of this time. It's little things like that that'll make up for the champion more so. Yeah.
So I was thinking that Eric's other question and the one from Asher kind of all fit into this. They're all kind of asking about support junglers or switching from support to jungle and figuring out those playstyles, and I didn't know if those might be good to transition into.
Go ahead and read Asher's.
Okay, sure. It says, I'm a top main, but when I don't solo, I jungle Ivern with the top laner who's an early one-trick pony. I find that Ivern eats a lot of bans and plat, but he's pretty much the only jungler I play. What can I do? The only other jungler I play is Nunu because he feels very similar to Ivern, but I'm worrying that I won't even get to play him once we have 10 bans. I don't think that's going to be a ban that's really that important to worry about. But I mean, we were just kind of talking about this. It's playing. You sound like you're playing junglers or want to play junglers that can be effective even if you fall behind. And that's not obviously that's a defeatist mentality if that's what you're going to the game saying. I'll fall behind, but I'll be okay later. But you still can be effective and throw out CC. You could be tanky like Nautilus, Amumu.
I mean, it's kind of that weird, but Ivern and Nunu are kind of in that weird ground where they can do some effective. They can do some effective counter jungling while still, being effective contributors if they do fall behind for whatever reason. Where Amumu can't necessarily invade the same way that like Nunu is going to.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, he shouldn't because he just dies.
Yeah, so like there are some fundamental play style differences, even if Amumu, fills a similar niche in that regard.
Oh yeah, I kind of default to Amumu because that's also asked in the future question, but and also was my old bay, even though that was as a solo top laner because season 1 was weird.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you can just look at it and at some point you have to say maybe I should look at expanding my champion pool. That's an honest question you can ask yourself because as you get higher up and higher up, people kind of realize Ivern's pretty strong at plat. Nunu's also very good. Maybe I should go in the flex. I can play flex cube, try out some other, or go in the normals and try out some other junglers. Maybe add a carry jungler in there, Kha'Zix, Graves. It doesn't really matter. Just pick something that you might like and give it a shot.
And the other question you have to answer is what are you going to do if/when that champion gets nerfed? Because it's what you can go the Marine Revenge route and just stick with Garen during every single state of the game. He plays Garen no matter what it is, and that's fine. But you have to accept that reality then that you are going to have to work harder because the champion has been nerfed in some type of meaningful way.
So it's interesting because you say you're a top main, which I feel like top and jungle share enough picks a lot of the time. I don't know anything else about your top laner, but as a non-pro player, like you can pretty much play. I don't know, Camille.
Camille jungle's not good.
I know. Camille, sorry. Let me go more with Nautilus. Nautilus would be fine. Yeah, much.
Maybe.
I just got kicked off the podcast for saying Camille jungle.
Peace, bitch.
But there's a lot of ones that you could play that are, I mean, at least similar. The bruiser type roles fit both of those lanes pretty well, but again, it's not worth mentioning if we can't really see what you play up top.
Yeah,
there's actually surprisingly little overlap between top and jungle these days.
Yeah, like right now you've got.
I'm just looking over the like who's getting picked and where.
Gragas, Warwick sees some top play. Jarvan sees some top play.
Pantheon, if you really want to.
Shaco,
Wukong,
Kindred.
Well, yeah,
now we're just listing champions.
I can list champions too. Let me pull up Champion GG.
Let's do the Sporkle quiz and see if you know all of the champions.
Oh God,
no thanks.
No. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Try some stuff out.
I think so. I understand preparing for the future because it's what we're kind of drilled into our head all throughout high school and growing up, right? Like prepare for the future, do this, do that. But like when it comes to a video game, I don't think it's advantageous for you to prepare for the future when it comes to the 10-ban system because, one, we don't know when it's coming, and two, because
it's been talked about for forever, and we still haven't seen it yet. So, I really wouldn't worry about it.
But what about Sejuani? Sejuani would be fine here, right?
She'll be banned.
She's getting banned. Okay, well,
she's actually the one in ban prison.
Yeah. Well, all right. Eventually. Let's see the ban rates on everybody.
She's actually not that banned that highly out of the junglers right now.
Okay.
Weird.
Well,
she's the number one jungle ban, but
let's go ahead and move on to another question. It's actually not Romans 116 on Ashamed. Is that his handle? I guess that's just the end of the thing. But either way, you know who you are. He writes in, could you guys help me find a new...
We'll look up that verse.
I was about to say.
Could you guys help me find a few champs to climb with this season? I like to engage and go all in. From his OPGG, he plays lots of Warwick, Shyvana, Rek'Sai, Udyr, and some Sejuani.
I mean, it literally says... That's recent. Oh, you're going to read the quote?
No, I mean, it literally just says unashamed is essentially what the quote says. So it's doubling up on that.
Yeah.
So join Amumu. Like, how'd you overlook that guy?
I mean, we actually literally just talked about this in our. It's
kind of weird how
all
so
of
many
these
of our
champions
questioners
were literally discussed, and they also are, I think, in a similar boat of kind of like Warwick Rek'Sai can all jump in and try to CC. Really, Rek'Sai is not getting an entire team. Let's be honest; it's more of a pick style. Like a lot of these are very pick heavy. Style junglers like Warwick and Rek'Sai, Udyr, if you're going to play them. Sejuani, I haven't seen how effective that ultimate is, if it's like a team fight based champ or a pick based champ yet. But obviously, if no one's getting to play her, I don't know if that's going to be found out anytime soon.
Jungle Jarvan's doing a lot better than I would have guessed.
Sean?
Sucks, yeah, he's doing pretty well right now. I was playing him a lot a couple weeks ago.
I played him the other day. He's not. He's still
his first clear sucks a little bit, but afterward, like if you jump out and you get the flag stun off, you pretty much have a free kill. I mean, it's like the all-inness of Xin Zhao, and then like if you can get to them, you just kill them. It's like that, but just like one notch lower.
What about
and
Nocturne?
He gets tankier. I love Nocturne right now. I love him.
Not doing great. I don't know why. I
love him.
His clear. He suffers.
Fuck your win rates. I love him.
I love him.
He suffers from
Galio shot.
I need to hit 6 before I really do anything, and against the other junglers that are power farming, he's just not as strong as like Graves getting power farming.
He had a better time when there were more minions in the jungle than less because his passive really benefited that.
Also, like Krugs is not great for Nocturne.
Oh God, yeah, that's got to be horrifying.
Krugs isn't great. He has an okay time with Raptors. He actually, you shit on Lee Sin at level 2 with Noct. Like I've had some, and I found that out when I got invaded by a Nocturne and got shit on when I was playing Lee Sin, and I've been doing it left and right. And
that's a very small sample size.
I mean it works great. Like I've been killing a bunch of. I just go in and I gank Lee at his buff and kill him, which is funny. But I like Nocturne right now. He still has his issues, and that pre-6 he's kind of meh.
Also, his build path is.
It's fucking super suspect at the moment.
Because like if you're ahead, you build Ghostblade, and like maybe you can one shot somebody. If you're behind, then I guess I can build like. Not to mention, he also starts to fall off like crazy late game. In that if the other team is going even, you're basically just there to ult and kill their carry, and then die after they're dead.
Force a flash, really.
You're there to turn it into a 4v4 instead of a
5v5. Which isn't ideal when there's when there's champions like Kha'Zix and Graves who can just do that and get away.
Well, I'd like to take this next question because it kind of makes me the thinking emoji. Since Santana did earlier, like, huh.
I did.
Key MC writes, I pick mid and bot for my roles in solo duo, but I main Ziggs mid and often ask a trade for mid. I am not a one-trick pony with Ziggs, but I find that my attack move is not very good, and my best ADC is Jhin. Animation canceling is something I don't do very often, and do very well, excuse me. He doesn't...
Probably very often then, too, because that's the definition of doing it well, is doing it more.
Are there other ADCs that do not rely on kiting? And frankly, should I just play Ziggs ADC? Well, first of all, Jhin does rely on kiting. A lot. Quite a bit.
His 4 shots on move speed boost.
Yeah, and that.
Yeah,
really
that's 80 carry.
That's the role.
Right. If I'm just going to answer your question in a bubble, yes, play Ziggs ADC if you're most comfortable on that. It's not something that's terrible to play. It works fairly well if you're comfortable with the champion.
We saw it tear up, MSI over the weekend. So
yeah,
what?
Slay. It's like Slay's only champion,
but he played it well.
He did.
Right.
Again, animation canceling isn't something huge with ADCs for the most part. You have like Caitlyn EQ, and there's a couple other niche things, but for the most part, you have to kite. There's not I guess you could argue if you have like Karma, Lulu, Orianna, you can play Kog'Maw and just stand there and hit W and kill everyone.
But you're constantly moving forward and moving around in the fight to get to the next person because people are moving away from you. So yeah, the whole role is you have to be constantly moving and attacking. And there's even little animation cancels you do when you're attacking and moving.
Right.
But here's the thing. you can practice all this now really, really easily.
What would you use to practice that, Dom?
Just go and run the practice tool and get yourself to full item build if you want. Or just start and stay at level 1, turn tower and vulnerability on, and just practice. And it's literally just moving after every single auto attack you make, so that you start to get the feel for what, so that becomes second nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good tip for anybody out there who's in bronze, silver, gold, is to just go into practice mode one day and spend 15 minutes just attacking and then moving and attacking and moving and getting used to just moving around the wave back and forth. If you really have to, bring somebody else in the game with you if you have a friend that would like to just last hit and move with you, so you guys can kind of get an idea how people would move in and out of waves. Now, don't necessarily trade with each other, but just, what is it? No rush 20 minutes, right?
Right.
Stand there
and here's the thing.
Attack.
The pros do this. The pros already do. They always are just brushing up on their last hitting. They will go in and they will just do that little bit of extra fine-tuning everything. And I get that we all have a finite amount of time available to play this game, but odds are likely that if you are committed to moving up and everything, you have 10 minutes before you start to actually play to just go in and CS. And practice the animation canceling and practice attack moving and practicing all the stuff that you need to do to become more successful at the game.
And I'd even
because you're definitely not above it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. And I'd even argue, outside of maybe a handful of champions, every champion benefits from kiting and animation canceling. Jungle clear, if you ever, when Nidalee was super popular, you could tell the Nidalee players from the people who were just playing her because they were meta, and they'd end their clear at no HP because they don't know how to kite the camps. Or they don't know her animation cancels when she still had them. Thanks, Riot. But it's every champion can benefit from that little bit of practice. Even your mid laners, like Orianna, for example, has one of the best auto passives in the game.
Yeah, you also we talked about this a little bit last week. With it's not only the health portion, getting those kiting abilities will clear your jungle faster. Not because you kill anything, you'll kill stuff faster too, but you'll be moving towards the next camp or moving towards the next objective, and that happens with CSing too. If you're moving up to go attack somebody, if you're moving, hey, I need to get this last CS, I'm waiting for it to get low, I might as well start moving towards the next objective. That's just good practice. And if you're saying to do that 10 minutes before a game, that'll also just get you warmed up. If you just jump into a game without having done anything, I don't know, I do all the time, then
guilty.
Then you might find yourself better prepared for when you actually get into the game.
Well, yeah. I guess easy enough. I hope that does well for you, KMC. Rhino writes,
hey, let us. Has anyone ever written back and said your advice was taken and it helped me?
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know if we haven't done a bunch of listener questions in a while, so
I usually I'll post follow-ups and whatnot in the Slack chat when they do.
Sure.
Any email we get goes in the Slack chat.
Oh, cool.
Rhino writes in, what role is best for helping out other lanes, support or top?
Us. Jungle.
Sure. It's always jungle.
Jungle. The correct answer is jungle.
Out of the two given support because you're naturally with somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, I mean
they call top the island for a fucking reason.
Yeah, it's really.
You are
definitely.
I feel like
that
that's
was
kind of gone away. I feel like that's not a thing anymore.
No, it still is.
Okay, I don't play top, so I don't know.
Not if Sean's in the game. If Sean's in the game, it's not a goddamn island. It's a fucking camping ground.
Sean heard they had really good fish.
It's my own personal campsite.
Eric writes in, after hearing your episode about breaking up with your role and trying to experiment, I've decided to try and move from support to jungle. However, as a support, I play true to the name. I try and focus on buffing my team and hindering the enemy to set up my allies for a kill. Because of this, I don't think I'd enjoy playing a Rengar or a Shaco. And so I'm wondering what junglers you'd recommend for a former support to try on. So far, I've thought of Ivern, Amumu, and who else? Now, it's interesting. Hold on. Before we start yelling out champion names and stuff. It's interesting to me that you automatically go for Rengar and Shaco as the champions that you would potentially want to play out of the jungle, or that you
Or potentially don't want to play.
or thinking that are dominating the jungle. So
No, I think that was a
so
point of here. I don't want to play this play style.
'Cause I don't
like
want to- I don't think it was
That's
going
how I
keeps
interpreted it.
people up. I don't think he was
I mean-
saying those are the two that come to mind as my meta junglers right now. I think it's
that's
That's-
more or less
he's
how I
just
read
letting
it.
us
Though.
know.
Like if I'm writing a thing and I'm like, I don't want to play this. I don't want to play Lee or Elise. What kind of champions? That's how I would write that.
I mean,
down.
so the way I break it down is I don't want to play assassins who are so require dominating the shit out of the game in the first 10 minutes to the point where if they don't, you're dead weight.
well,
But,
pretty
like,
much
they're
dead weight
so-
with any champion out of the jungle.
But
if you
here's
don't
the
do
thing:
something.
there's so many junglers that aren't those that are doing way better than those two. So I don't know exactly where that.
In some respects, we've talked about a lot of the champions that would already fall into this category for you during this show.
Right.
Honestly, I would just start writing down a bunch of them, and then add a few more that you've either been interested in or like you think fit the same category, and just go into normal games and start playing through it. Just try them all out. Go into the practice tool and test out their pathing and everything, so you have a sense for that. But otherwise, like, just try them out in normal games and keep going through until you find somebody that really good and clicks with you. Vi, frankly, might be a really good pick in that
Shit,
regard.
I was gonna say don't even touch Vi.
Don't touch Vi.
No, I think Q is too hard of a ability to use for.
it's make or break until
It's
6. Yes.
super make or break. I mean, it's make or break in general for that champion because you're not
But
doing
she's a
anything
lot of
without her.
fun.
She's so much fun, and you can kind of build tanky on her if you're doing poorly, or you can go
You
damage
know
and
who else
crush her.
is more fun? Warwick.
Warwick's really
Warwick is
good.
a lot of fun.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
Dom, do
I'm
you-
sorry. There's a skill shot that's very important that you need to hit. Let's pick Warwick, who needs to do exactly
Yes
that.
and no.
in
I mean, if
practice.
you just get ahead enough, you don't really ever have to hit a skill shot. You just have to walk into people.
I mean, and you can also point blank Warwick's skill shot too. Like there's always that option.
I don't know. It's pretty easy to tell when he's trying to like outsmart or outmaneuver you or something. It's not a difficult shot to juke if you can see him. Now there are a lot of times where he just like flies in from out of nowhere and starts eating your face.
I still like. I know they're looking at changing Ivern a little bit, but I still think Ivern and Nunu are really, really solid in doing exactly what they like to do, and that they play. You get to play that sort of like supporty sort of role while jungling, but both of those champions require like to play them to their utmost requires a lot of jungle knowledge and knowing what you can and can't get away with, especially with going and taking other camps. So,
but I'm
gonna say
Nunu without a lot of jungler knowledge and still.
well, you can safely play Nunu on your own side, but you can get way, way, way more out of Nunu if you know how to like aggressively invade.
Yep.
So I mean, it's one of those things like Nunu's a really, really
So-
safe pick, and you can go really, really far with him if you wanted to, especially right now because he's doing very, very well.
Sean, yes to everything you said. Okay, this isn't me
Yes.
disagreeing with you. This is me saying yes to everything you said. However, I think when you play Nunu, not you, just anybody who touches Nunu, but when you play Nunu, you just need to play Nunu with the I don't give a fuck attitude, where you are just going to go walk into the enemy jungle and you're going to do what you want regardless if the enemy jungler is there. They're taking Krugs. Well, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to
help
look
them.
at you, and I'm either going to walk up and eat it and
Let's take
smite
that
and
Krug
walk
in your
away.
face.
Or you're going to fight me, and then we're going to have a big fight here. Like with Nunu, I think you just have to play that champion outside
See,
of the support role, where it's just, I don't give a fuck.
The old odd one advice.
I
as
agree.
Nunu is to try to make the opponent jungler as useless as you
Useless as
are.
possible.
No, that's
I know it's not
super,
true, but-
super. And like, I mean, it's true in that like that is Nunu's goal. It's to frustrate the enemy jungler to the point where they're useless. But like, the issue you run into with that is that if you don't know how to appropriately ward the enemy jungle, if you don't know what like the timing is for certain things, or you're timing enemy buffs, or that like you end up hitting your little plant that gives you vision, I can't remember the fucking name of it, and see across the map and notice that like, oh, they're taking their Krugs or their Raptors right now, it's going to be up again in a minute, and you're not cognitively like doing that little mental tick to let you know that that's going on. You're going to be wandering around on somebody's side of the jungle when shit isn't spawning, they're not there, and you're wasting a bunch of time. So yes, that is how you want to play Nunu, and that like you want to make somebody's life miserable. But if you want to get the biggest benefit out of that, and you want to make it work, you have to you have to have actual jungle understanding to do it. Or you can just play him and be safe as fuck on your side of the map. But there are other champions that can do that better. Well, let's look at Sejuani right now, because she has way more of fucking like team fight power when it comes down to that kind of thing at the moment. So like, honestly, if you're just getting into jungle, I say pick like safe sort of mega tanks at the moment until you have a jungle understanding knowledge. Pick those Amumus, pick those Sejuanis when she's not banned.
Maokai, for that matter.
Yeah, Maokai's good.
I think is going to probably closest fit this guy's sort of description.
I would say
Rammus,
Rammus, but Rammus has a bunch of changes coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I think
think Skarner even. But when you know how to counter jungle, when you know like jungle stuff. When you're comfortable as fuck and you're not scared of going in and dealing with the enemy person one-on-one and you have confidence in that, pick up somebody like Nunu and Ivern and be a terror.
Is there
like,
any
just
reason,
be so annoying.
Is there any reason we're not telling people to play Rek'Sai? I understand that her win rate in solo queues is doing well, but I do think that she is probably a pretty good base champion to try out jungle.
She's very easy.
I haven't been mentioning her because I know they're changing her in either 7.11 or
I didn't know
12. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing stuff like her knockup's going to be a targeted ability.
Huh.
What?
Yeah, instead of like so it's going to be a target, like you target one person to knock up, and then it like displaces the other people instead of knocking them up. It like
And
moves,
her ult is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
Has anybody noticed a comeback of Gragas recently? I've been seeing him a little bit
A
more.
lot of top lane Gragas. But yeah,
some support Gragas too.
yeah, he's they put some changes in like 3 or 4 patches ago. I completely forget what they were, but yeah, he
got
kind
more
of bounced
healing.
back. Yeah, I
got more
think
healing.
so. I think they went from 4% to 6%. That sound right?
It sounds right. Yeah,
Yeah.
You ended up getting like you just were healthier inherently because every cast is assuming that your passive was giving you back.
I remember us talking about that episode and saying jungle Gragas is going to come back with that, and of course top lane Gragas comes out of there.
And of course
Yeah.
we were right because that is our motto on the Trinity Force podcast.
I mean,
is
No,
being
it was
right.
cooking with gas.
No, I'm not
get
fucking
out.
using that
That's
one.
not. Yeah, that's not happening. No, I mean, Gragas in the jungle right now has up over 50% win rate. Like that.
He's
good.
Like it's a lot, 8% play rate.
Yeah, that's pretty
high.
solid.
That's
He's got a solid clear. He can clear race really well.
And Elise is over 50% for the first time in an age and a half as well. So
yeah, God,
back to Spider Queen.
Yeah, she's only viable like AP jungler right now. I guess Natalie's almost to 50% again, but like out of like the primary AP
Out of
junglers,
damage AP, other than Sejuani and Nunu.
Yeah,
Well, it's good because
That are kind of
you guys need to play some jungle AP tonight because Lucian Mid is coming out. You guys know it.
Okay, I actually played Lucian Mid a couple times on this patch already. It's a blast when you get ahead. It's so much fun.
Yep. Thanks,
What are
Solo
they-
Q.
What happens when there's
building
fun
at?
ADCs is the mid laners just steal them away from the ADCs. Corki, when Ezreal was popular for a while, we had AP Ezreal out of the mid lane. So yeah, anything fun bot lane, we take it mid lane. Same with your supports.
God, Corky's in the
Yeah,
dumps
that's true.
right
You
now.
fucking assholes.
Whatever you have, it's mid lanes,
Yep.
If it's fun and cool, it's mid lanes.
pretty much. If it's the hip new thing, it's mid lanes.
So now the hip new thing is support Lulu. So fuck you, other lanes.
Yeah, because we got her nerfed so hard.
Yeah, I was-
around she
I
could
was
only support
dying
her now.
earlier when you were listing the win rates and everything because by that logic and everything, I should be playing only Lulu. 76% win rate on her right now,
I mean,
25 games.
I only want you to play Lulu. So
I also,
that-
if she's open and we get the chance, like
Yeah,
I'm
that's
always
the
like,
other
yep,
thing.
just pick Lulu. Like I do play her every time she's not banned. So
You should probably just play her mid instead of playing support.
I can play her mid.
You should just
Yeah.
go ahead and just play it mid. I mean, he's already playing
Oh,
Lux, who
'cause we usually
who
ban
has
it.
a problem clearing and all that other shit. So you might as well play Lulu, right? Since you're propping up the
what I should
team.
be playing is Galio. That's who I should be playing.
Yeah, you could do that. I think
Woo.
Galio's really good.
I do
Yeah,
too.
as we saw
Really
this
good.
weekend. Yeah.
I've been trying to tell you guys that for weeks. That Galio is.
I thought
fucking
Galio was
awesome
fine.
on
I've
top.
agreed.
And no one agreed with me.
I've agreed. I thought
Don't
he was
listen to
fine.
anything that they have to say. They're all lying to you right now. None of them agreed with me.
I
So
agree.
someone go back to the tape.
I have not understood why like during the MSI play-in, why there was only one team playing Galio.
Yeah,
When it was like, what? You're banning Shen? You're leaving Galio on the board, and you're not playing him? What is going on here?
Yeah.
Well,
Good stuff.
we got through all the listener questions, boys and girls.
We did it.
We
So,
did it.
You know what that means? We need more listener questions.
That's right. Feedback at trinityforcepodcast.com. Email us. Ask us any question that's on your mind. You could be Diamond 1 with 50 LP and still have a question, and if you want to test us and see how well we can answer it, we will try to answer it for you. You could be Bronze 2 with 23 LP, and we'll answer your question. I don't give a fuck what you are. We just love you all, no matter what it is.
I bet Adam would love questions about homebrewing or something too. If you wanted to just go really off map, that might be a better Twitter question though. Was that your own?
I was drinking homebrew tonight.
Nice.
What was it?
Do you have a name for it?
It was Trash Can.
Wow,
It
you
was
really
based-
tried to sell that one.
It was based off Mitch.
Aw, what did you add? Smirnoff Ice?
Yes. It's the
iced it.
iced trash can. No, it was just I threw a bunch of random hops and shit into it because I had a bunch left over that needed to go before they got bad. So
Oh, so the bartender's mat, essentially, of
yes.
beers.
Yes. What Mitch was drinking when he wore his new Twitter profile shirt.
It's not on Twitter, so nope.
No, you're not gonna put that one on Twitter.
That's my Facebook profile picture. I'll tweet it because it's real
so
good.
That
It's
picture
so
is
good.
so ridiculous.
I fucking might as well make it my
You might-
picture on Twitter. Yeah, I'll do it right now, guys. Go check out
Everywhere else.
at Cereal Box with a Z, and I guess that's not accurate. You need to put the
BAWKZ.
Box. Because Cereal Box was fucking taken, and I'm so mad about it still.
Of
Like
course it is.
wait, is it not anymore? If it's not taken, I'm literally fuck. It still is. All right, I would literally just take it immediately. This dude's had it forever.
You should write a nasty email to the guy.
I tweeted at him a long time ago. I was like, I would like pay you $10 to just to change my Z to an S because it would make me so much happier.
Oh, you wouldn't actually do like cereal box with an X?
No,
Like the actual name cereal box?
like BAWKX.
Yeah, no, BOX.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Oh.
It's
Well,
not. It's not the what's it? The shit.
The last
Group
time this
X?
dude tweeted was 2012. I'm so sorry.
You could probably email Twitter support and be
No,
like,
no. If you look at when he tweets at people, it's May 1st. Like he actually tweets at people. No, it's Cyril Baux is from a Group X skit from a long time ago. So that's the people who did the End of the World.
I can't decide if Sean is more bored than I am, or if I'm more bored than Sean is.
Hey guys, let's
I'm pretty
More
fucking bored.
than the rest of you.
Dom, I think I win that award.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, we're just gonna go ahead and end it there before we board. Before we make
You
everybody else
tried.
bored.
I don't
You
give a
tried.
fuck about
Bored.
Mitch's nickname that he can't figure out.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to the Trinity Force podcast. Patreon.com/T-Force Network. Mitch, do I need to go out and find some people for you?
No, actually, we should have starting next week. I will be getting recordings of Brand and Kenan because people are finishing up school and are available starting next week. So
Fuck yeah.
they will be coming at the month, but I have them pretty much already scheduled. So
Excellent.
what up?
There you go, guys. Brand and Kenan podcast coming your way. $10 a month. You can just give us $10 once if you want to get all the podcasts. There's a fuckload of them out there. Over 40 episodes available for you. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. We appreciate your support, and we will see you all on Wednesday with episode 442. Guys, have a good evening. Peace.
See ya.
Later.
later.